welcome back to this Japanese class. Today's class number is number 7, and we are going to talk about direction verb, including go, come, and return in Japanese. So this is the content of class today. First, I'm going to explain about the direction verbs, and then next I'm going to use them in sentence structure. And lastly, I am going to demonstrate it of how to use them in examples. So let's talk about the direction verb. So in today's class, we're going to cover 3 different direction verbs. The first one is to go. In Japanese, it's 行きます. 行きます. To come, 来ます. 来ます. To return home, 帰ります. 帰ります. And the fourth one is a little bit special. I haven't included this word in examples or in sentence structure, but just to remind that this one is also important, I'm just going to cover it in this slide. But to return in Japanese is 戻ります. 戻ります. So these characterizes the movement from one point to another. So if there's location A and location B, you would use 行きます、来ます、帰ります、戻ります in between the movement in between the location A and B. So the another thing to remember is these 4 words are different from the general verbs such as 食べます、見ます and other stuff. So there's like a certain pattern to use these words. So let's look into the sentence structures of this one. So this sentence right here is the basic formula. So first you would state the destination place. Following it will be or に, and at the end you would add 行きます or 来ます or 帰ります. Things to keep in mind: or に has to be placed after the destination place right here, and there's no way that this is going to be in front of the destination place or after the 行きます、来ます、帰ります. And there's no I will come. In English, you might use I will come to some location. But instead, in Japanese, we always use the speaker's perspective. So you would say I will go, not I will come. And lastly, there is no go home. So there's no like I'm going home in Japanese. Instead, we use return home, which is 帰ります. So in Japanese, if I want to say go home, it will be 家に行きます, but that doesn't really clearly state that you're going back to your own home. So you would use 帰ります to demonstrate that you're returning home. So let's these ones are showing the present tense and past tense. So if it's the present tense, you would use the mas. So 行きます、来ます、帰ります. But if you wanted to say it in past tense, all you have to do is change the mas into ました. So the past tense would be destination place or に, and then at the end it'll be 行きました. きました、帰りました。To repeat, it will be 行きました、来ました、帰りました。So one thing to keep in mind, ます in present tense would be changing into ました in the past tense. So let's use the examples because so far it's very complicated if you're just doing it from the scratch. So yeah, let's try to use them in example. So as you can see from this picture, this man is walking to station, and station in Japanese is eki. Eki. So as we learned it from the sentence structure, after destination, location destination, which is eki, we would put, oh, so sorry, before that, this is the English sentence, so we could easily understand what we're gonna explain this in Japanese. So if it's in English, I would say if I was him, I would say I'm going to the train station. So after the destination eki, the next word would be ni or e. So in this case, we're gonna use ni. So eki ni. Going in Japanese was ikimasu. So if you put all together, it will be eki ni ikimasu. Eki ni ikimasu. Let's try this in another example. So this is the exactly same format, but as you can see from this picture, the man who was walking to station is now taking his car. So he's driving his car to the station. So if it's in English, it will be I'm going to the train station by car. So all we're missing in the Japanese sentence right now, iki ni ikimasu, all we're missing right now is the fact that they don't have the information of by car. So this red letter is missing from the Japanese sentence. So if you want to add this, add the detail that he's taking a car, it will be eki ni kuruma, because kuruma means car, kuruma de ikimasu. So if you put all together, it will be eki ni kuruma de ikimasu. Eki ni kuruma de ikimasu. Okay, the next example, it's also similar as the last example. So there's a man right here, and as you can see, he's taking the bus and heading to the office. So if I wanted to say I'm going to the office by bus, we're gonna use the same method. Bus in Japanese is basu, which is the exact same in English, but after the destination, 会社 office, 会社に or 会社へバスで行きます because he's going to the office. And also I forgot to explain this in the sentence structure, but the reason why we have ni and e is because you could alternate ni into e depending on the situation, but basically these are very complicated even for the native speaker, and all I always keep in mind is if you're using ni, it's more like a frank way. If you're just talking with your friend, you would use ni, but if you wanted to use like formal way, you would often use it. So if you're talking to your boss, you would say 会社へバスで行きます。But if you're just talking to your coworker, it will be 会社にバスで行きます。Okay, another example using 会社 office. So as you can see from this picture, he just arrived at his office. So if I wanted to say I came to the office by bus, so keep in mind we won't say I will come. We say but in this case we could say I came to the office because it's past tense. So if I wanted to say this in Japanese, it would be 会社にバスで来ました。会社にバスで来ました。So this is a little different from the last example. We used came, so it would be 来ました, which is past tense of come. 来ました。So 会社にバスで来ました。So this is a different example from than the past two, but it'll be easier to understand the difference between 行きます and 来ました. So let's try to use both of them. So there is a girl who's heading to the beach. And then beach in Japanese is 海. 海. So if I want to say I'm going to beach, what would the sentence be like? So if I want to say I'm going to the beach, first you show the location, so 海に or へ 海に it's going, so 行きます。海に行きます or 海へ行きます。So the next one, this girl, which is me, I arrived at the beach and she looks very happy, which is nice because I also love beach. So if I wanted to say I came to beach, compared to the last sentence, going transforming it into came. So the sentence would be 海に来ました or 海へ来ました。As you can see from this difference, there's no past tense. There's a past tense of 行きます, which is 行きました, but that is often used at like the next day. If you went to the beach like yesterday, you would say 昨日海に行きました. But if you're like there, if you just like arrived there, you would say 海に来ました. So it's a little bit tricky to like distinguish 行きます, 行きました and 来ました, but this is how it transforms. So this is another example using the beach. But so first we're gonna try to make sentence in this dog's perspective. So this dog is saying, I'm going to the beach, I'm going to beach. So if I wanted to say from the dog's perspective, it would be beach. In Japanese, what's 海? So 僕は海に行きます. 僕は海へ行きます。I think 僕 is a new word. I use 僕 because that means I, meaning it means I, but I suspected this dog was male or boy, so that's why this is like a form that guys use when they're talking themselves. So if it was a girl, it will be 私 or 私. But in this case, I used the male's perspective, which is 僕は海に or へ行きます. Okay, so the next perspective would be from her. So this girl is trying to explain that this dog is coming to the beach. So if I wanted to say dog or Sir Dog, dog, Mr. Dog is coming to beach, I would say 犬さんは海に来ます。犬さんは海へ来ます。So there's the difference between, depending on the perspective, 行きます and 来ます will shift over. Because this dog is heading to the beach, so he would say, I'm going to the beach. But if she's waiting for the dog to come, she would say, oh, the dog's coming to the beach. So, another example. This is a little bit different from 行きます来ます, but let's work on this. So this woman is leaving the office, 会社, and heading back to her house. House is 家. So if I wanted to say that I'm going back to home, I would say 家. Oh, I'm returning back home. If I want to say I'm returning back home, I would say 家に帰ります or 家へ帰ります. So, as I mentioned it earlier, if I wanted to say returning back, it would be 帰ります. 帰ります. And then this is a little bit extra example. I don't know if everyone remembers, but there's like the another way to say that you're like returning, but instead of returning back home, there's like a word to use that you're just like returning somewhere from another point to another point. So if I wanted to say that I'm leaving the cafe and going back to my office, maybe I had like a lunch break, and after my lunch break at the cafe, I'm like heading back to my office. And if I wanted to say I'm returning to the office as a sentence in Japanese, it would be 会社, because that's the destination. 会社に戻ります or 会社へ戻ります. Returning in Japanese is 戻ります. 戻ります. It's quite different from the previous one, which was returning back home. I would say 帰ります, but in this case, if I'm just like returning somewhere, I would use 戻ります. So, to review what we've learned today, ikimasu is to go, and ikimasu past tense is ikimashita. Kimasu is to come, and kimasu past tense is kimashita. Kaerimasu is to return home, and its past tense is kaerimashita. And then the special thing that we've learned was to return as well, but we say that modorimasu, and the past tense will be modorimashita. And the key point to remember for today's class is to always use speaker's perspective. In English, sometimes it gets iffy with the perspectives, but in Japanese, depending on the perspective, the word could vary. Like it could be very vary. It could depend on how to use the certain words depending on who you're talking to. So yeah. Thank you for listening to this video. And as always, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. And I hope I could see you for next class. Bye.